Okay, so I thought I would just make a video for these. We don't even have to do all of them, but this is it's not too difficult. So I think I really could just show you this to you, and you'd be totally cool. Um, okay, now sometimes though you don't have your equations in this perfect situation to graph. Now I would say probably fundamentally these equations are like you want to graph them. Okay, because of the locus, because of the rule that you want, you need a pattern, and 95% of the time you just want to graph them. So let's we can see here that we don't actually have it in standard form quite yet. The standard form requires us to have everything shifted over. Okay, that actually should be a minus. Okay, should look like that. And it's something we don't quite have. If we got rid of the 3's, then we would be good to go. Now notice the balance here. We've got a 3 and a 3. Now this actually means that you're putting multiplier pressure on both of the coordinates, and so you're going to make it quite even. So that's going to be unique to circles. And so what we're going to do is we're going to divide everything by 3, and by doing that, all right, you've got x squared plus y squared now, and we know where the center is now. And whatever 3 goes into that, what is that, 64. So now that we know that this guy is a circle with a radius of 8, and his center is 0, 0, okay? It does say identify the center, okay? So we'll go ahead and do that. And the radius is 8, all right? That's simple. Sometimes you got to move him around a little bit. Now this guy is perfect. Okay, don't touch him at all. Do not foil him. Do not think that you got to move things around with him. Keep him as he is. But what we are going to do is we're going to move the 52 over here, and he'll become positive, and then we're going to move this guy all the way over to here. So when we do that, we're going to move him over here. He'll become positive, and then when we move that guy over there, we've got 54. Okay. All right, so this means that the center now is 4, 0, because he doesn't have any parentheses. And we have a radius of the square root of 54. Now inside 54 is 9 times 6, so we can take out a 3 and have a 6 on the inside for the radicand. So that's the radius. Okay, now this is more of a common, this is more of the common type here. This is called general form, when you don't see any parentheses and it's all foiled out. That has some advantages. First of all, it's easier to type, and so you know, this is just totally fine if you just need to plug it into a computer. But you cannot see the center at all, so what you've got to do is you have to group them, and we have to do something called completing the square. Now, we touched on this back in the when we were working on quadratics, and so this is really the whole point of this video, is to show you how to complete the square, because we're going to be completing the square for the x coordinates, and we're going to be completing the square for the y. And then we're just going to see what's left over, and then that's going to swing over and become our radius. All right, so what do I mean by that? I'm going to go ahead and move the like terms next to each other. They're not quite like, but they are the same variable. So I'm going to move that 6 closer to the x, and I can do this because of commutativity. All right, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a space, okay? All right, and that 6, I'm going to put him over to the other side. Okay, so there, you need a little bit of room here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fabricate a situation. We're going to fabricate a number here, and then we're going to add it, and then we're going to add it over there. We're going to fabricate another number here, and we're going to add it to both sides. So we're going to fabricate 2 numbers. All right, so what numbers do we fabricate? Well, there's a neat little formula, and it is the b divided by 2 and square it. Now the b comes from the quadratic formula, where we always called the coefficient of our linear expression, that's our quadratic expression, this is our linear expression because it's just x to the first power. We're going to just use that number in front, and that is our b. So b divided by 2 in this case is going to be 3, and then 3 squared. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 9, and I must do it to the other side. Okay, don't forget to do that. That is the most common error, so watch out for that. Now here we got another one where we're going to take 2, divide by 2. That's 1. 1 squared is 1. Okay, so now we're going to add that. All right, now believe it or not, you're pretty much done. So this is what's great about this is now we're going to get parenthesis squared. We're going to get two of them now. Okay, and then this is going to be 10 plus negative 6 is 4. Okay, well, that worked out well. We already know our radius is 2. But here's what's cool. What we did by adding this fabricated number here, this synthetic c, if you're talking about quadratics, this allows us to actually make a perfect square trinomial. So we designed a perfect situation where we take that plus, we will put it here because we need a positive number here. This guy's going to always be, not always, this guy's going to be here is going to be the square root of whatever that number is here, okay? Or look at it like this. Take this guy and cut him in half. Either way, cut this guy in half or take the square root. They're going to be the same number. In fact, that's what that is, okay? So 9 square root is 3. Square root of 1 is 1, and that was positive, so that would be positive. That's positive. That's positive. All right, you're all set. You have done it. You've got the center at -3, -1, and you have a radius of 2. Okay? All right, not too bad, not too bad. Okay, we'll just, let's see. I'll do definitely the odds, but we'll see if maybe one of these is not a weird one. But since I wrote a little bit on that, I'll skip number 6. Let's go here. Okay, so we've got the x squared next to the x. Cool. We're going to move that y squared over here. So we will have a plus y squared. I don't have any y's, like y to the first power, so that's it. There's nothing to do. He's actually not going to have any parentheses, so that's nice. Like over here, you can see that this guy's got a y squared. There's a y, so I would definitely bring him over and do it for y. But this guy, he's done. Okay, he's all set. We actually already know the y coordinate for our center. We're going to move the 103 all the way to the other side here. That's going to be a -103. But there is a 4 already there, so that would actually bring this down to -99. All right, now don't worry about how big or large or how big or small that number is over there or whether that is negative. It's going to change because we do need to bring that synthetic c here. So 20 divided by 2 is 10. Square that equals 100. So 100 goes here, and look at that. Perfect. Okay. So now our perfect square trinomial here will have to have parentheses, and we will take the square root of this, and we will take the sine of this guy. So we have x plus 10 plus y squared equals 1. So our center is now -10, 0, and the radius equals 1. All right? Okay. Moving right along here. What do we got here? Okay, we got some over here. It looks like the x is actually alone. We're going to move this y squared over to the other side. So x is alone. Nothing to combine with him, so we already know the x coordinate of our center. In fact, you could write it down if you'd like. But over here, we're going to move the y over, and when we move the y, he'll become positive. Okay, and in fact, the x squared and the y squared have to be positive in order to have a circle, or both negative. But they have to have the balance in order to be a circle. If there's an imbalance, you have a different shape. All right, so we got 8y. We're going to move that 13 over to the other side. So what is 105 minus 13? Let's see, that's going to be 2. 9 is at 92. Okay, so 92 is going to be over on the other side. All right, and then I made a space here. Divide that by 2 and square it. So that's 16. All right, so now we've got x squared plus parentheses. Now here's our y family here. He's going to break down to a plus, and then this guy will be a 4. And then this ends up being 108. Okay, 108 is 36 times 3. 36 times 3. So our radius is actually 6 radical 3, or just the square root of 108 is totally fine. It's not that big of a deal. But this will tell us that our y-coordinate of our center is -4, okay? All right, I don't think there's anything trickier than this, all right? I guess maybe we'll do this last one here, because now they're just completely out of order. Let's move these two over to this side so that x squared becomes positive, but then that -2, there we go. Okay, this is something we haven't had. We have not had a negative here, but it doesn't really matter. But I'll show you that it doesn't matter. The y squared is already there. We got a 10y next to him. We will move that 2 here over to this side. So a lot of juggling here, okay? But everything that's not a number will move over here. And everything that is a number, I should not say number, I should say constant. A constant will become, will go over to the right, okay? So he goes over there. Everything else comes over here. But make sure you group them appropriately. We're going to divide -2 by 1. You get -1. But then you're going to square it, so he's going to become a positive 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Square that is 25. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my parentheses here. And you might be yelling at the screen right now because I did not add those red numbers to the other side. So let's make sure that we add 26. And now we got 24. So we have a radius of the square root of 24, and we don't even know our center yet. But that's okay. X, we're going to have a square root of 1, but right here, a minus means that we should keep a minus there. So our center already has an x coordinate of 1, and we are going to have y plus square root of 25 is 5. So that's going to be a -5, because remember, our form called for this to be negative. So when it is positive, you know that it has to be negative. That has happened elsewhere. Okay, and then our radius is going to be the square root of 24. And the square root of 24, let's see. 4 goes in there 6 times, so that is 2 radical 6. Okay? All right, I think that pretty much covers it. That's completing the square for these guys. And what's really nice is that this completing the square follows us through all of the conic sections. And if this makes sense, then the entire... everything we do with conic sections is going to make complete sense. All right, I think I got a worksheet for you. Do the Fruit Loops first. You're going to finish that in like five minutes, and then start working on the slightly harder the worksheet I got for you. All right, have a good one.